Effective altruism is both a philosophy and an emerging movement. The philosophy is really the idea that we should use our lives to do the most good that we can. And in working out what's the most good we can do, we should use our capacity to reason, to think, to gather evidence and to weigh up that evidence so that it's not just a kind of impulsive or emotional response to problems in the world, but it's a thoughtful, carefully worked out one. And the emerging movement consists of people who are involved in this. There's no single organization, but there are a lot of different organizations and groups and a lot of individuals around the world. They contact each other through the internet and they're all involved in discussing and acting on the idea of doing the most good in their lives. One of the big questions that effective altruists have to ask themselves, of course, is if I want to do the most good in the world, to which cause should I devote myself, or to which selection of causes? Which is going to be the one to give priority to do the most good? And there's a lot of discussion going on about this. I think that a number of causes seem to be very strong candidates. So, for instance, helping the global poor, not the poor in your own community if you're living in a wealthy country, but rather it seems to be much more cost effective to help the poor in some of the world's poorest countries. That's one cause. A number of people are concerned about the suffering of animals and think that we can cost effectively reduce the vast amount of suffering that we inflict on animals. So that's a second cause. There are people who are concerned about the longer term future. I think we don't give enough weight to the interests of people who don't exist yet but will exist. And they're concerned about causes like climate change, for example, which obviously is going to affect people more in a century or two than it does people now. But they're also, some of them are concerned about preventing even quite small risks of human extinction, because they think that if we give full weight to the future, then we ought to be concerned about the possible non-existence of many, many, many future generations of human beings who would otherwise come into existence and live good lives. And they think that that's a cost. So it's an ongoing discussion, but these are some of the prominent causes. And it's interesting that some of the things that I didn't mention are some of the major things that people give to charitably. For example, giving to locally in their own community, perhaps giving to museums and art galleries and other cultural institutions. Most effective altruists don't think that they're a high priority. Even giving to the poor in affluent countries tends to be seen as less cost effective than giving to the global poor. Giving to your university or educational institution, which is particularly popular in the United States, is not seen as a high priority. Giving to your religious institution is generally also not seen as a priority, because these are things that are seen as not doing the most good.